Hi, I'm Amber. Welcome to today's video about how to acquire Chinese effectively. In today's video, I'm going to talk about why studying the basics and following the traditional order or sequence may not be the most effective way to learn Chinese. The video will be divided to 3 parts. Number 1, the students and my experience of never being able to master the basics. Number 2, the natural order of language acquisition by Krashen. Number 3, be careful of your teachers. Why? Let's see. The first one about my own experience, because for most Chinese people and me, we learn English in school from the primary school. So in total, it's 16 years. And including the 4 years when I was in college, I was majored in English. After all those 16 years, I can still not understand the native speaker. I can still be afraid of having conversations with them because I'm afraid I don't understand them and I cannot form the sentence in my head. I think my English improved most was after when I started to work, because first a few years I went to Philippines to work there, so I immersed myself in the English environment, although they have a little bit accent. And also after college, I immersed myself in the YouTube videos. So when I was in a little bit higher level of my English, I didn't want to go ahead to keep learning the language. Because when I think about learn this word, I feel 头疼. I don't want to do that anymore. And also when I was in college, we need to learn the second foreign language. I chose Japanese. And in the college and after those years when I was working, I tried times and times, many times to get back. But I was always in this 50 into, I don't know how to say in English. And I was not able to go further. So every time I try to return to that and I memorize and then give up. And then again and again and again. Until now, I still cannot pick up them from the beginning, from the basics. And also I tried Korean. 안녕하세요, 오빠. Sumimasen is in Japanese. Okay. Sorry. That's all I know. So all those experience of returning to Japanese and get it back make me 头疼. And how about my students' experience of learning Chinese with me? I had a student who was living in China for almost 6 years, and he heard some words like 吃饭, 你好, 再见, bye, and 我喜欢茶, like this, I like tea, like this. So, but he tried also a few times with other teachers to learn from pinyin or that, like yi, u, yu, like this, but he gave up like my Japanese. Then he came to me, he thought, oh, no, this time I need to restart, okay? Because most people, they felt yi, u, yu, that yu, you don't have this pronunciation in English, right? Also for him, he felt struggled with how to pronounce that one. But I noticed he can already say 下雨, raining, and 我喜欢吃鱼, 吃鱼. So I thought, yes, you already know how to pronounce that. When you say 下雨, that 雨, just the third tone of that one. That 雨, 下雨, 雨, 鱼, and 我喜欢吃鱼, 鱼, 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 鱼. You already know how to pronounce that. Why do you have to learn from 一, 乌, yu? For 乌, he also had problems, but he knew how to say 一二三四五. I said, stop. This 五, isn't it the same as 一, 乌, yu? Is it the same? You already know how to do that, but you just stop there. You found it so difficult and you can't find any fun or interesting throughout the process of how to start from the basics. I think maybe there are some other super beginners or absolute beginner. You maybe think it will be so difficult or a long way to go before I can understand a sentence, I can understand native speakers, because you need to start from the yi, wu, yu, and spell them together and form Chinese characters, and the basic structures, spell, the pronunciation, the tones. No, don't bother yourself worrying about the basics. Why? Because I have other examples of super beginner. The students who came with me, he know totally zero about Chinese, never. But in the first lessons, he can understand me speaking in normal speed, 10 minutes normal speed Chinese. So that's the purpose you need to understand native speakers, not like us in schools after 16 years learning all the grammars but cannot understand native speakers. That's not your purpose. Your purpose is to understand in normal speed the native speakers in the first class. What we do is from the first class we started from telling the stories, immersed in the stories with picture book, or we create our stories together. Because as human beings, we are naturally born to like stories. That's why when we are a kid, our parents tell stories to the kids before going to bed. So that's how our adults also should acquire a language. That's no more translation, just see the picture book and you understand from the context, from what you see. No translation in your head, and lots of repetitions of the words and commonly expressed structures in real life. Because if something is really commonly used in real life, people say it a lot, you will absolutely listen to that a lot, many times in the stories. So no need to worry about the order. You have to learn 你好, and if 吃饭 is commonly used, so in the stories people need to 吃饭. So for some super beginners, after 10 stories, they can understand the native speakers in basic conversations. What if you learned in traditional lessons, like maybe in the first 3 to 4 classes, you need to learn yi, wu, yu, you practice how to pronounce them, and then another 2 or 3 lessons, you form them together to spell Chinese characters, and then you learn the basic structures of 你好,我是 blah blah. And maybe most people after 100 lessons with teachers, you still cannot understand native speakers, like me again in the school life. To understand why this is the case, I need to talk about a theory called the natural order of language acquisition by the linguist Stephen Krashen. This theory suggests that the language acquisition happens in a specific order, with certain features of a language being acquired before others. When we learn a language using the natural approach, we focus more on understanding the messages rather than the rules of the language. Instead of studying the basics of Chinese grammars, we learn Chinese in a way similar to how we learn our first language. By listening to and understand the messages, that's just a little above our current level of comprehension. This means we don't need to worry about learning the specific rules of grammar or words vocabularies in a specific order. By doing this, we are able to acquire Chinese in a more natural and effective way. And number 3, why be careful with your teachers? Because when I was being trained to be a professional teacher by other teachers, my teachers, so I was told that in your class, please remember that you don't speak too much. Only need to speak at most 30% in your lesson. So you need to allow your students to let them to speak a lot, like more than 70%, so that they have the opportunities to practice. But that's totally different as how language acquisition works. Because I was trained to do so, so I really did so in my first 2 years of teaching. Like I was using the grammars and the HSK books, and I want to learn more about language acquisition. But I think until now, there are still like 80 to 90% of teachers who are still taught or told to not speak too much in your lessons. Use the traditional way. So I think only if your teacher, she or he keeps improving himself by knowing how the language acquisition works, the teachers try this, the teacher want to spread this, and then the students, they believe in the teachers or they are open to try it, and they found, and they compare which one works better for them. In this case, maybe I think you are not wasting your time or money. I hope you find this video is useful or helpful for you. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave below. Thank you for watching.